Okay, some of you will see this video's title and immediately think that this has to be clickbait, right? And if you want to be very strict about it, I guess I, in fact, do not have zero skill. I know how to click on the screen so my character moves, I know how to cast all my spells with my keyboard, and I know how to auto-attack. So there is some skill involved in how I play. However, this very, very basic mechanical prowess was enough to reach Master Elo, top 0.5% of all players in League of Legends solo queue, and I'm going to tell you the story of how I made that happen. Ideally, this will inspire some of you to take a similar approach to the game, so you can finally reach your dream rank yourself. But let's start at the beginning. League of Legends was quite popular when I was in school, so back in 2010-11-ish, my friends bullied me into downloading the game. It was quite fun, but my internet sucked and I used to play on an old laptop using its trackpad for my mouse. Yes, I'm serious. And the internet was so bad that my game would straight up DC if my sister used the landline telephone, for example. Anyway, what happened eventually, almost 2 years later, was that I was playing solo queue and my champion was Xin Zhao in the jungle. But the game didn't go too well for our team, and one of my solo queue allies told me in chat to uninstall the game. And being the rational person I am, I did exactly that. Deleted the game from my PC and stopped playing altogether. No joke, that is exactly what happened. But it would be unfair not to mention that I was starting at university at the time and I wanted to quit anyway so I could focus more on my studies. But I guess you know League of Legends. And when Season 6 came around, I happened to remember the good old days, thinking to myself, this game actually wasn't even that bad. We had some good times, maybe I should give it another go. And after reinstalling the game after all this time, I was in awe, but also a little bit sad. The old school players here will know this, but for everyone else, the old client had this weird nostalgic look to it, and even the act of logging into your account, which came with an animation of an ancient stone portal unlocking, it was truly something special. But all of that was gone, and we had a new client. But the new aesthetics for Summoner's Rift, which I had never seen before, were truly beautiful compared to what it used to look like. One of the most pivotal changes for me, though, was the system with the chests and the keys. You know, back in the day you had to spend actual money to get skins in League of Legends, so the idea that you could now get skins for free was ecstatic in my eyes. And these chests did something that, I know it sounds kind of drastic, but they did something that would change my life forever. They gave me the skin Candy Cane Misfortune. At this point you probably know what I'm talking about. In any case, I was still a student at university, so I thought to myself, there are hundreds of champions in this game and I don't have the time to learn them all. I still need to study. But hey, I got this fancy skin for Misfortune, so let's just play Misfortune from now on and nothing else. My idea was that if I just got very good at this one champion, I would still win even though I don't know much about the other champions. Because, well, if I don't have to think about how my champion works, I will have the upper hand in any matchup. Maybe the enemy doesn't have much experience in the matchup, but I will have seen it plenty of times already. And, you know, I like winning. From here, I am almost tempted to tell you the story of how I eventually created this YouTube channel, but let's keep the actual topic of the video in mind. Many of my friends, and probably also some of you, raised a concern. What really is there to learn with Misfortune? She doesn't have any combos, mechanics, animation cancels, or whatever. But ultimately, my plan would end up working. I climbed all the way to Master, on stream, as a Misfortune one-trick. You know what kind of comments I sometimes get? Stuff like, this guy's just silver, or this isn't even plat, look how this guy plays, or man, this Misfortune misses every single ultimate, so boosted. And while I usually advocate for just ignoring hate comments on the internet, these people have a point. I frequently use my heal when my support has already died half a second ago, or straight up fail flash into the wall, and yes, my Misfortune ultimates hit exactly nothing way more often than they should, to be honest. But despite people thinking that this looks like a silver performance, I still reached high elo, which ultimately proves that stuff like that doesn't even matter all that much. And this is perfectly embodied by my main champion, Misfortune. The claims that there is not much to learn about her when compared to champions like Lee Sin, for example, are 100% correct. But you know what? I pity them. I pity the Lee Sin players who have to practice their kicks, ward jumps, and insect plays, who must be able to perform all that stuff under pressure if they want their champion to work. I pity the Vayne AD carries who spend hours in practice tool trying to get the perfect angles down for their flash E combos, or who need to perfectly time their tumbles and then also use every single invis frame during high-stakes teamfights. But, okay, to be fair, that is just me. For some players, getting that dopamine rush after a perfect game-winning outplay is what League of Legends is all about, and that's completely fine. Yet all this becomes a problem for people who play these champions only occasionally. They have no chance to cultivate the skill it takes to get all of these details right, and they will lose games while wondering why they are hard stuck. Yes, it is true that Misfortune doesn't have these combos, however, one-tricking a simple champion like MF still gives me a massive edge over many of my opponents, literally allowing me to dominate 99.5% of the player base. I know intuitively how much burst damage my auto-Q auto combo can deal. I know from experience where I can stay so I can still barely avoid Blitzcrank's grab after factoring in Misfortune's W movement speed. All these little details matter so much more than the occasional failed flash or whiffed ultimates. While other players are busy playing the champions like Lee Sin and Vayne, trying to anticipate their damage output, cooldowns and combos, not even mentioning optimal runes and items, power spikes, etc., I can instead play the actual game. I don't have to worry about playing the champion that I one-trick, the champion almost plays itself at this point. Instead, I have all the time in the world to pay attention to what really matters, what really wins games in the end. The moments in which my mechanics look good, almost like of a skilled player, are always moments in which I already had the time to think ahead. I never play on reaction, but based on anticipation of what will likely happen. And you just cannot do that if you need to think about your champion all the time instead. Of course, please don't get me wrong, a person one-tricking a mechanically steep champion like Lee Sin will eventually also get to the point where they don't have to think about their champ anymore. Yes, it will take much longer to get that kind of mastery over a complex champion, but again, for some players nailing these mechanics is half the fun, so more power to you. But this is the common misconception. People claim that one-tricks like me would be worse off than a jack-of-all-trades player, because all I know is Misfortune, whereas the other player would be much more proficient overall. However, it is the exact opposite. While the other player knows more about a couple of champions, I actually had the time to learn the actual game, giving me an almost unfair advantage over them. I was only able to climb to Master Elo because my champion mastery that came with one-tricking allowed me to deep dive into all the other aspects League of Legends has to offer. I don't want to sound boastful here, but my outstanding macro knowledge is the main reason why I was able to climb that high, despite my lack of mechanical skill. And I could only cultivate that knowledge because I was one-tricking. This is my #1 piece of advice for you. If you actually want to climb, pick one champion in one role, learn everything about that champion so you can then learn the actual game of League of Legends while playing. I actually have a PDF guide for you in the description that you can download completely for free. It summarizes all the advantages of one-tricking and also comes with a small quiz that hopefully helps you to find the perfect one-trick champion that matches your style. This YouTube channel has one purpose and one purpose only, to help you to climb as high as possible. So please let me know in the comments if you found that PDF helpful and how you would improve it. Maybe we can optimize it together and help many more players reach their dream ranks in the future. Oh, and by the way, you do not need to learn League of Legends macro from scratch. I have poured all the macro knowledge I acquired while one-tricking Misfortune into this video, which should be on your screen right now.